How are you? Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm going to have to read a little bit early, just letting you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
the
worries.
medicine.
It's a good thing he tells us all the Buddhist secrets
Oh,
in the
okay.
class, so you don't miss anything.
Do you want a cushion? Please, I like to sit on it. You don't. All right, I'll do. All right, I'm gonna be me.
Can I borrow one of the prayer sheets?
You can use anything you want. Oh, yeah, sure, totally.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to share a prayer sheet?
I have so many though. Here,
Oh,
here,
okay,
you can have, you know,
We're abundant.
it's not, you don't have to say that, but you can say that, right? So we're gonna read from that for a moment. Hi, Oscar.
Hola, Ben.
All right. All right, so total optional yoga pose, okay? Can you show her how to do it? I can't reach from over there. Uh-huh. Right, how would you do the steps? Uh-huh.
Ring fingers to touch, and you cross your pinkies, and you grab the opposite pinkies with your thumbs, and your ring fingers are still touching, kind of like a little. Yeah, and then you cross your both ring fingers.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and then
totally.
you grab the middle fingers with your pinkies.
Grab your middle fingers with your, yeah, that's it. Yeah, cool. Okay, now hopefully you're on the right page because you'll never be able to flip pages now. So we're gonna say that prayer one time. We're gonna chant it. You don't have to. You're welcome to, okay? Sashi Puki Jukshin Metok Dram Rirab Lingshin Yende Gembadi Sangye Shingdu Mikte Uwargi Drokun Namdak Shingla Duparsho Irang Guru Rana Mandala Kam Niryata Yami. And then there's one of these pages that says Kaptra Semke, and you're allowed to let go of your finger trap. Cool. And then we'll do this one 3 times. Sangye Churang Soki Jognam La Jangchu Bardu Dagni Kyapsuchi Daki Jinso Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Benchir Sangye Drupar Shok Sangye Churang Sogi Chognam La Jangchu Bardu Dagni Gyapsuchi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Benchir Sangye Drupar Shok Sangye Churang Sogi Chognam La Jangchu Bardu Dagni Gyapsuchi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Benchir Sangye Drupar Shok. Okay, cool. Boy, you're gonna wish you had Sam for backup because yeah, I know, it's okay. It's all right. Oscar can help us too.
We got the that's what I'm like the backup quarterback in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
Just trying not to get sacked.
No, you're not gonna get sacked. What book are we studying?
Long Rim.
Yeah, cool, right? What's Lamrim's? It is the book is called Lamrim, but it's also like
Three Principal Paths.
yeah, Three Principal Paths, which is a Lamrim book. What does Lamrim mean? You don't know. It's cool.
Long Rim is the path to enlightenment.
Yeah, it is right. What's the rim part, Oscar?
It's steps on the path. I didn't hear what they say.
Well, you had the right answer, so it doesn't matter. It's like Jeopardy, whatever. You can work backwards to the question from your answer. You had it.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, steps on the path to enlightenment. So there's a genre of literature, okay, that was made popular maybe 1000 AD or so as Buddhism was moving from India to Tibet. And it was this idea of taking all of the different genres of literature that existed within Buddhism and fusing them into an overall path from wherever Ben is at right now to whatever on earth the state of a Buddha is. Try and Sam's way to no, it's okay. There's no milky product in there. It shouldn't froth over.
You're gonna do it twice.
Am I gonna, no, now I'm gonna let it steep. Or see, anyway, also steps to the path in tea making. Yeah, it would be chagi jimba. Yeah, that's the steps to making tea. Yeah, so anyway, this particular book, which is again called this particular book within the genre of literature called Lamrim is called, and you already gave the name.
The Three Principal Paths.
Yeah, it's called the Three Principal Paths. Okay, so this famous teacher whose name is Oscar, who's the author of the book, he knows that too, but I'm asking you.
Pavangar Rinpoche.
Oh, well, that's an interesting, you make an interesting argument. So
Well,
the author of the Three Principal Paths is who?
Jetson Kappa.
Yeah, Jetson Kappa wrote it, and then we've been reading a commentary, which is available online through the website. If you want to go look at it, you can. A commentary by Pabonka Rinpoche on this 14-verse poem. You have a question? No.
I forgot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Pabonka Rinpoche, who passed not too long before us, really, right? I think. Yeah. Do you have his dates in front of you? I don't.
I don't. Maybe 1926.
Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah, that sounds right. I think maybe, yeah, he was born like 1880 something. But anyway, Jetson Kappa is like 1300s, and he's the teacher of the first Dalai Lama. And so it's his book that we're using. He takes the steps of the path. There are big versions. There's what's the biggest version called, Oscar, in Tibetan?
Lamrim Chenmo.
Yeah, good for you, smarty face. Good. Yeah, good. Lamrim Chemo. Chemo means big old. So the big old steps of the path to enlightenment. This is the little itty bitty steps of the path to enlightenment. Which is like it's a 14-verse poem that suffices for this 1000-page book. Probably not. Probably if you wanted clarification on the poem, you go to the 1000-page book. But in our case, we're using Pabonka Rinpoche. So he breaks it down into 3 steps. And we've been talking a lot about the first step for a while, and we're kind of on to the second step tonight. So we might as well talk about what is the first step.
Renunciation.
Yeah, renunciation. What's the second step, Oscar?
Bodhicitta.
Okay, which what in English or Spanish?
The wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all living beings.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's like a full, like a proper definition. Semke Pani Shenduntir Young That's Okay Changchuktu. Right. It's super famous in the right nerd clubs. The wish to achieve enlightenment, to achieve total enlightenment for the benefit of others. As opposed to renunciation, which is what? Roughly, what do you think? How would you describe renunciation, Oscar?
Well, the wish to achieve enlightenment only for me.
That's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, something like that. It's not bad and it's not bad, meaning like that's not a bad definition. And it's also important to say it's not bad. Like we're teaching from a Mahayana Buddhist perspective, which means that they're into this idea. Mahayana means greater vehicle, means this idea that you're trying to get everyone out of suffering. But if someone wanted to just get themselves out of suffering, there's a thing for that. The Buddha taught a system for that. That's allowed. You're allowed in the Buddhist club, okay? And you don't, whatever. No one's got to be in the Buddhist club to hang out here. But still, if we were in a Buddhist club, which is not a club I'm starting, then you'd still be allowed in the club if you just wanted to get yourself out of trouble. What kind of trouble? Sansara. Yeah, cool. Wow, you said Sansara instead of Samsara. I'm so impressed. Yeah, totally. It's because you haven't been indoctrinated by the other side. You've probably heard of Samsara before. He's being a good aspiring Sanskrit dork because the S is a dental in the front of the mouth and the M is not an M, it's an M with a dot over it, which means that the nasal is pronounced with the same part of the mouth as the following consonant. So technically it should be Sansara, but don't go around protecting people. Everyone correcting people, do go around protecting people. Don't go around correcting people. Because nowadays everyone says Samsara and we don't want to start any holy wars over pronunciation. I'm sure they exist. Anyone who insists that you're supposed to pronounce Brahman, Abraham, probably gets in big fights. And Sansara is what? What does that mean?
The 8 different types of, I don't want to say hell because they're not, because they talk about hell in it, but it's like life and the suffering of life, and it's a continuous suffering.
I think you're thinking a little bit of the 8 worldly thoughts, which is just like our fascination in getting, I don't think we had another 8. Did we have another? Oh, we did kind of, didn't we? We had, did we have 8?
There's different types.
Maybe we had 6 sufferings of human life, something like that. Maybe we had 6 sufferings of human life.
Well, because like until we renounce, that's what we're renouncing, is like this worldly life, to get out of that wheel and eventually get to that ego.
So, oh, that's nice. Is worldly life so bad? I mean, grapefruit spindrift can be nice. I mean, is it okay? What's the problem? Is there a problem with worldly life? Does it got to be all bad, or what? What do you think, Oscar?
Well, life is great until it's not. So that time will be, it's waiting for all of us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So yeah, sounds right.
Someone was like, dang, now when it's getting really good and I really want to go to class, she's missing it.
Oh.
It's not like all sad like that was the 4th class.
Oh, well, we're recording it. She can tune in, but yeah, right. It does get better, and it does get better and better. And I think that you skip the whatever. That this part's depressing. Hey Ricky, how are you, dude? You just getting out of the gym? You look fast. You can tell by the towel. Good. It's around his neck, by the way. He's not like in a towel. They can't see here. It sounded weird the way I put it. So we're talking about the suffering of samsara. They say, I mean, most fundamentally, right, they say there's 3 types of suffering. Suffering of what are the 3 types of suffering, Oscar?
Suffering of suffering, suffering of change, and pervasive suffering.
Suffering of suffering, suffering of change, and all pervasive suffering. What's the suffering of suffering? Do you remember?
Is that the one like suffering because suffering, like something good is gonna end, so then or is that the suffering of change?
That's the suffering of change.
Is suffering of suffering just suffering because like life sucks?
Yeah, just like I stubbed my toe, I got bit by an alligator, right? Obvious, just.
I got peed on by a cat. earlier. So.
Yeah, right. Fascinating. This was maybe an emotional suffering. I mean, it didn't physically hurt, probably.
No.
Yeah, right. Can you anyway?
One might
Um,
be that.
Right, one could be. Right. Suffering of suffering is like general, I get a headache, right? I whatever, cut my nose in a sliding glass door. Or suffering of change would be technically it's the spindrift, because you know, the likelihood of me either running out or drinking too much of it is high, or like you know, we can't ride the pleasures of life indefinitely. They have causes, and those causes are in flux, and there's nothing like behind them to drive them and keep them consistent. And so they have to run out, that all the good stuff has to run out. What's all pervasive suffering, Oscar?
That no matter how hard you try, and no matter how many things you can achieve, you're going to lose everything.
Yeah, I mean, they say kie ga na chi. Okay, you can say it for good luck. Kie ga na chi. Birth, aging, sickness, death. Guaranteed, right? Those were guaranteed. All pervasive suffering. Okay, so and then when they talk about renunciation, also like what is Sansara? The definition we had of Sansara is kind of tough. It was like the condition of being forced to take on the suffering body and suffering mind over and over and over and over again. If that's true, and I don't know, okay, and I don't claim to know, you know, I can't tell you for sure that you've done it countless times, but that seems to be the position of the Buddhas. I just work here. I didn't see that. I don't know. I read the books. They clearly say that that you've been in this situation countless times. Literally countless, because they say there's no beginning to how long you've been in this mess, but that maybe you could get out. So wishing to get out, right? This is Ngengjung, okay, Ngengjung, renunciation, which is the first of the three principal paths, which is the only three things you need, okay? The only three things you need, apparently, to reach Buddhahood. So did I get that yet? What was the measure? Do you remember the measure, how we know whether or not Ben got to renunciation, Oscar?
Yes, day and night, you're always thinking about renunciation, about the suffering of life.
Yeah, I mean, the book, the poem says, when you have not even a moment's thought for the good things of cyclic life, and you begin to think both night and day of achieving freedom. So I don't have to worry about it. It's definitely not me. So that takes some pressure off, at least. I'm not almost there, so I don't got to sweat it. But yeah, we're learning about it, right? And then I think it's important to say at this time that like it's not wrong to like stuff, and you'll see in the Yoga Sutra, right? If you study the Yoga Sutra, also there's you're going to get there. You didn't get there yet. When we talk about renunciation in the Yoga Sutra, it's very interesting. And you study Yoga Sutra a little bit, Oscar, don't you? You do, yeah. The highest form of vairagya in the Yoga Sutra, do you know? Tatparam Purushakyater Gunavaitirsnyam. The highest version of giving up on the things of renunciation happens when you have a viveka kyater, like a viveka kyate, like a vision, viveka of, right, discriminative wisdom or whatever, which is it's not a great translation, but it says kind of when you see who you really are, or you see the way things really are, that it's not like, the point is not that you no longer like chocolate chip cookies. The point is that you no longer think that your pleasure comes from chocolate chip cookies. You see, you might still eat chocolate chip cookies and enjoy them very much, but you would no longer be driven to use that as a method of happiness, because creating an inner world, right, that is built out of happiness, that is built from, and how do you build happiness, you know, in your inner world? Typically it comes from creating it in your outer world. And so if you have the ability to go into deep, profound states of meditation and cultivate joy in that way, that's great and that's cool, but that's very hard for most of us. It's achieved roughly by running around trying to be a nice person, you know, trying to make people feel good, cultivating kindness, consideration, love externally, right, is our most powerful lever to steep ourselves, to steep our perceptual field, our perceptual reality. You see, to everything we're taking in before our eyes, to cover that, right, in how we want to feel. You see, in the joy that we want to feel, to spread that as much as we can, to surround ourselves as much as we can in that. That's good. Now, could that, does that mean that I don't like chocolate chip? You know, of course, it means I'm, you know, maybe I'm just like going to be amazing at enjoying a chocolate chip. Oh, for whatever reason, my AirPods just wasn't looking at it. Because they're, okay, turning off my Bluetooth. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, so it's not that you wouldn't want nice things or want nice things for other people, but it's that you wouldn't be doing the things that don't help you. Like if I have a chocolate chip cookie and I've got the last chocolate chip cookie in the room, you wouldn't try to punch me in the belly and steal it, because you wouldn't think that that would make you happy. Like you would be rendered incapable of the state of mind that would be like, maybe if I just got that fucking cookie from him, I'm good, you know? Like you wouldn't, and that's renunciation, you see? It's giving up the things that didn't work anyway. It's not giving up being happy. It's not giving up being happy. It's giving up not being happy. Okay, so what's the second path? Yeah, the great, I like that. I've never heard it called the Great Wish, but I like it. We could do that. They don't call it Chumbo, Semkye Chumbo, but I like it. Yeah, the wish, okay? You could say it with a capital W, okay, the wish. Okay, the wish to achieve total enlightenment for the sake of others. I mean, just in case someone was only here for, you know, part of the evening, and who knows if they ever get to come again. What is the third path? Oscar.
Correct view.
Correct view. They say correct view, okay, which roughly speaking means, what do you think from the perspective of the Yoga Sutra? What would it mean, Oscar?
Well, I think it's what you said about the Yoga Sutra that you said just like a couple of minutes ago, like to understand how reality works.
What line would you quote from the Yoga Sutra? You only know one, use it. Yeah, good, right. Good try. Yeah, good guess. I mean, yeah, exactly. Which means what?
Why we become more by stopping the turning of the mind.
Yeah, this idea of,
You correct the great mistake is what it's
Right.
about.
right. So what's the mistake?
Well, yeah, like thinking that the world is coming at you when it's really coming from you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, fantastic. Right. So correct view in this context is somehow wedding those two states of mind, right? The state of mind that wants to be happy, right? We call it renunciation, but it's giving up on the things that didn't work. Unfortunately, that's informed by the third one. Sorry. So you have to be starting to work on the third one to do a good job with the first one. You haven't really achieved tata parama, right, in the Yoga Sutra, the highest version, until you, but you start, right? You start getting an idea of it. You start getting an idea of like, well, what's really happening to make me happy and what's not really making me happy. And then we're going to talk about the wish, okay? How would you start to turn that towards other people? If that applies to you, then that applies to my mom, right? If that applies to my mom, that applies to my kid, to my wife, to my friends, to my brothers, to my sisters, right? Like, and it's powerful, right? Like, I think there's different kinds of people and it's cool, you know, and it's good. if I'm being honest, like left to my own devices, like if the problem is just that Ben's gonna suffer, you know, maybe it's not the best attitude. It's not the attitude my mom would want me to have, but like, it's all right. I don't know. I mean, I don't take it very seriously. It's hard to take it seriously, but watching it happen to the people we love, that's pretty hard. That's pretty hard, right? And when you start to get this idea that it's not just that I would get myself out of pain, but like, if I really wanted to help people with their pain, you shouldn't trust me. You see, you shouldn't trust me unless I stop my pain, right? Like I didn't, you know, whatever, just checking in again, and I didn't. So you shouldn't, right? But like, I can't really help you. I can tell you what the books say. I can tell you what my teacher taught me. I can tell you, like, you know, we can share about my attempts to put things into practice, and then, you know, then we can share notes, you know, as we spiral down towards our demise. But until I get out of this mess, I can't really help. You know, you can't really help anyone unless you've solved it. So that, you see, that type of renunciation is the wish. This idea that like, well, now, if there's something to be done and I can do it, right, then so help me, right? I will take it upon myself, right? Whatever it takes, I will do it, right? Whatever it takes to get us out of this mess. We are theoretically on class 7. Does that make sense, Rand? You agree? You agree? Okay, great. So, yeah. Here, I'm gonna be Sanskrit-y, maybe. Let's do this, okay? Okay. Jung Chu. Semba. Well, no, let's not do that way. Let's do Jung Chu. Ki. Sem. Okay. In Sanskrit, Oscar.
Bodhicitta.
I'll take it. Good. Sold. Okay, bodhicitta. Okay, bodhicitta. You know what bodhi means? No is a way acceptable answer. Yeah. Bodhi means like enlightened. Okay. Bodhi means like enlightened. What's the corresponding Tibetan here, Oscar?
Janchu.
Yeah, Jangchu. Okay, Jangchu. Okay, Bodhi. Okay. What's chitta? Yeah, it is. Good. Yeah. So, okay. So it would be real tempting. Okay, what would be the most, and don't feel bad because I'm going to tell you in advance that you're wrong. Okay, but what would it be real tempting to think that this means then? Oh, that's not bad. I like that, right? But just like if you had to translate this, right? It seems like it would mean what? If that's enlightenment and that's mind. Yeah, great, right. Yeah, and it ain't. Okay, right, exactly. Okay, so you know, I warned you. I led you right into a trap, but it rather means a mind which is focused on enlightenment. Okay, and you'll see bad translations of this forever. Okay, it's a mind whose intention is focused on enlightenment. Okay, it's the mind that aspires to enlightenment. Okay, it's not somehow you already have a Buddhist mind. Okay, so once you got your Janchu Sem, okay, which is the second path. Okay, then you is a Jangchu Semba. Okay. Oscar, Sanskrit?
Bodhisattva.
Yeah, Bodhisattva. Okay. Pretty famous, right? Sattva means like, sattva is simple, or sattva, it's a cool word. It kind of means like warrior or something. It means like a badass for enlightenment or something. Right, our teacher, right, translated it as like warrior saint or something, okay, which I think is a very sweet translation. I like it. So any person who has that is that. So whenever you hear the word bodhisattva, think, oh, it's someone who's got bodhicitta. Okay, do I got bodhicitta? Well, do I wish to achieve enlightenment, total enlightenment myself for the sake of everybody? I mean, yeah, sure. Right. So does that mean I'm a bodhisattva? Yeah. Right. There are greater and lesser versions of that. Okay. So it doesn't just mean literally like, you know, if given a choice between reaching enlightenment for the sake of others or having like the best potato chip you ever had, that you're like, I guess I'll take the enlightenment one, right? Like, it's a sort of like all pervasive state of mind that you're just like buzzing all day, every day with like, gotta do it, gotta do it, gotta do it, gotta do it, gotta do it. They say it's interesting. And if we, when we do the perfection of wisdom, which is like in the next course, they describe it as like, it's weird because they divide the mind up into like main mind and mental functions. So like there's the main mind and then there's the thoughts you have in your mind. And they classify this as main mind. So it's like, unless, you know, the heavyweight champion of the world knocks you out or whatever, it's always going. And so somehow your mind is, they say, Simba, it is like steeped, okay, in this wish, okay, so that every other intention, every other thought you have, right, is happening in this like water that is suffused, right, with this all-pervasive wish to achieve enlightenment. Now they do say there's a lesser form, they call it sugarcane bodhicitta, where they say it's sweet but it's hollow in the middle, and it's fine, it's nice, okay. And then there are big debates. Actually, some books do debate about whether you could be a bodhisattva just when you have that, but generally speaking, they say no. So I kind of want to differentiate between three characters here, okay. All right, bodhisattva, okay, Arya, and Arhat. Okay. Usually in this order. Okay. Usually in this order. Okay. So what's an Arya? Okay. What's an Arya? An Arya is essentially someone who has mastered what, in the context of the discussion we're having, Oscar?
The third path.
Yeah, good. Good. You took it the way I wanted you to. Oh, here, I could do this with the screen instead of trying to do this with the, get over here a second. Great, better. Yeah, great. Look, good. You want to be able to see the top of my head so you can shoot at it. Yeah, right. So when you have, now what does it mean to master the third path? They say that there's a state of meditation, okay, that you can reach in which your intellectual understandings of reality change to what they call direct, okay? And I wonder, like, if I have a good tool for this. Like, yeah, I don't, but it's like, you ever look through a telescope at Saturn? You got to do it. Okay, you got to do it. I've got a great telescope. Okay, someday we'll do it. Okay, all right. I've got a really good telescope. You're invited, Oscar. Okay, And when you, like, you know, all right, you haven't either, and you haven't. I don't think so. Okay. But you know, there's a thing up there and it's got rings around it, right? And it's somewhere roughly between what, Jupiter and whatever the next one, Uranus or whatever. We used to call it Uranus, but then that was made people feel weird. So now we call it Uranus. It's not that much better. And if the scientists came out today and they were like, actually, we were wrong, we realized that, like, there's nothing up there. It's not true. There's nothing up there with rings about it. I don't know what we were thinking. Sorry, that was weird, guys. You know, you'd be like, oh, all right, well, so I guess scientists, I guess they know what they're talking about. So, all right, that's weird. It's probably, you know, frankly, it wouldn't work on me. Okay, it wouldn't work on me because I took a piece of metal and glass and plastic and I put it up there, and you don't need a good scope either. Okay, I mean, there's just a thing up there and it's got rings around it. It's the damnedest thing. You look at it and you're like, ah, wow, right? The first time you see it, you're like, whoa, wait, but you thought you knew it was there. Okay, you thought you believed it. You think you believe it, and you do think you believe it, but you see it and you're like, even though you know what you're gonna find. They say, even though you could intellectually understand that the reality that you're seeing is dependent upon the shape of your mind, okay? And that the things that seem external to you are maybe not so external, are more about something inside of you playing out before your eyes, that you could come to a deep understanding of that intellectually. But a day comes in deep, deep meditation when it's like you're looking at Seth, right? And no one can ever talk you out of it again, right? That person is called an Arya. Okay, and this word has been much abused, especially roughly around the vicinity of Eastern Europe. Right, Hitler thought it would be cute to somehow tie the history of the German people to a group that had invaded India in ancient times and brought with them language. Okay, and that group was also called Arya or Aryan. Okay. And so he was trying to tie it up and say, like, well, we're the descendants of the group that went and civilized the Indian people, and that's where Sanskrit came from. And that's part of why he used a swastika, right? Swastika, that's Sanskrit, right? That term is Sanskrit, right? And the symbol it's a Sanskrit symbol of the turning of a wheel. But an Arya means a noble one, okay? In fact, all right, and don't tell Geshe Michael I said this, okay? There's a translation that my teacher hates, okay? They say that when you go into a deep state of meditation, you come out and you may have a realization of 4 truths, okay? Which he might call the 4 Arya truths, okay? Because they're the 4 things that a person realizes when they come out of that, which roughly speaking is suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path to the end of suffering. You don't have to know that, okay, for today. But suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path to the end of suffering, that somehow you come out of that experience as an Arya, and you know those 4 things. So they...
Is that like Vivekananda?
Oh, probably, right? Now we're mixing systems a little bit to say that, but yeah, I think so.
Like in those states that you have that.
Now, to be fair, and it's my fault, right? But we are talking about, how closely does this, he asked, is it like Vivekananda in the Yoga Sutra? How closely can we correlate a Hindu presentation with a Buddhist presentation? I think in a lot of exciting ways, but the Buddhists probably wouldn't use that term. So I would be cautious about that, okay? But they would call it the direct perception of emptiness, as opposed to an intellectual understanding of emptiness, a direct perception of emptiness. So intellectually speaking, you know that I still have a left hand, yes, but you can't see it, all right? But the board is not falling over. I didn't make like a loud shrieking noise. There's not blood spurting everywhere, right? Intellectually speaking, you understand that I still have a left hand, but you can't see it, right? Seeing it is what they call direct perception. Hi, how you doing? Okay. So the direct perception of emptiness or truth or ultimate truth, okay, or direct, right? That's the highest version of correct view, okay, is what makes someone an Arya. Now, what you'll hear about in whatever, any other book on Buddhism, they'll talk about, oh my God, I've got an email notice that Geshe Michael wrote me about something. So he can tell that I'm about to get in trouble. But they call it the Four Noble Truths. Very commonly, you'll hear it called the Four Noble Truths. Okay, now that's an out-of-date word. We don't use the word noble in English anymore, and it's confusing because it makes it sound like the truths are noble. But you see, I think it's kind of cute, honestly, okay? And this is where I could get in trouble, all right? I think it's kind of cute because in the older parlance in English, the word noble meant something was noble or high, but it also referred to a noble as in like a lady or a lord, you see? So it's kind of, I think they did something cute because you'll see the word Arya in the introduction to like a sutra, like the Arya Bhagavati Chandende, Bhagavati, the Lady Conqueror, the exalted sutra called the Lady Conqueror, the heart of the perfection of wisdom, right? So I think it's not bad. Okay, so an Arya, all right, a noble being. You gotta go? Go, God bless. Thank you for coming. It's nice to hang out, okay? All right, we'll see you in class soon. All right, good. So an Arya is someone who had a direct perception of emptiness, okay? A Bodhisattva is someone who has the wish. What order does it happen in?
Bodhisattva first.
He says Bodhisattva first. What do you think, Oscar?
Well, it's simultaneous. It's like, technically it's at the same time, right?
No, everybody's wrong. Whatever you said, I was going to say you're wrong anyway, so don't worry. Generally speaking, it's the way that Jordan presented, okay? Generally speaking, and you find it in the three principal paths, okay? It's considered not unusual to achieve the wish like many lifetimes before achieving the direct perception of emptiness, okay? Now, there are some presentations, okay, and like even bringing this up, whatever, it's because Ben's difficult, you will find some presentations that say that this might happen in the aftermath of this, okay? That like, in fact, there's a book by Kedrak Nevadarge that says you don't really know if there's a Buddha until the direct perception of emptiness. And they say that because we talked about the four bodies of a Buddha, they say that one of those bodies is emptiness. You see, one of those bodies is emptiness. The emptiness of a Buddha's body and mind is one of the bodies of a Buddha. And so in a sense, when you go into the direct perception of emptiness, you are meeting a Buddha directly. You are meeting a Buddha face to face. And until that day, how can you have the all-pervading wish to achieve something that you don't even know exists yet? You see? And the answer is maybe on faith for some people, okay? They say that students of high intellectual capacity sometimes, especially, can't get here before here because they don't really know if they buy it. You see, they don't even know if it's possible to achieve enlightenment, right? Until they met a Buddha face to face, okay? So you do sometimes, okay, but usually they say that you achieve the wish, okay? And then eventually you have the direct perception of emptiness. Okay, so typically it happens in the order that you see it in the three principal paths. Typically it's presented in that order with some seldom exceptions, all right?
Was that similar to when you said there's like, for enlightenment, the analogy of a king? Was it like a fisherman and a shepherd? And that?
Well, those are, yeah, right, because those are three types of the wish. Okay, that you may have a wish such that you're going to get there first and take everyone with you. You may have a wish to get there with everybody, and you may have a wish to push everyone ahead of you. I think it's related, but in this sense, it's like, well, when do you even get the wish? Also, by the way, sometimes, and we're not going to deal with it this week, but we might next week. Sometimes they call the direct perception of emptiness. What's another code word for the direct perception of emptiness that relates to this discussion, Oscar? Ultimate
reality?
No, sometimes they call it ultimate bodhicitta.
Oh,
Okay. Dundam Semke. Okay. Sometimes, and ultimate bodhicitta doesn't mean bodhicitta, but sometimes it's a code word. Ultimate bodhicitta sometimes means the direct perception of emptiness with bodhicitta. So you have your bodhicitta in the sense that you have this all-pervading love to get enlightened for all beings, but you see them wrong. You don't understand all beings, right? And so on the day that you have this understanding that like you understand that the beings out in front of you are not really separate from you.
And that's when you become an Arya?
And then you're an Arya. And in fact, you're a Bodhisattva Arya. And there's a thing we're not going to get into today that they call the 10 levels of a Bodhisattva. Okay. Technically, you could be a Bodhisattva and not be on the first level because the first Bodhisattva level happens when a Bodhisattva has the first direct perception of emptiness. So when a Bodhisattva becomes an Arya for the first time, right? When a Bodhisattva becomes an Arya, right? Has a direct perception of emptiness for the first time, they call it the first bhumi, the first Bodhisattva level. Okay, and there's 10 of them. So you could be, and it doesn't matter, but you could hear about it on the bus somewhere or whatever on the news tonight, you know, so such and such on the third Bodhisattva Bhumi, you know, was, you know, or so-and-so, you know, who is a Bodhisattva, you know, has not yet reached the first Bodhisattva Bhumi. And I don't want you to get confused because you could be a Bodhisattva and not be on the first Bodhisattva Bhumi because you didn't have the direct perception of emptiness. Okay. An Arhat is what, Oscar?
the one who attained nirvana.
Yeah. An Arhat is someone who's achieved nirvana. Okay. Nirvana. So what's nirvana?
The cessation of negative thoughts, of negative emotions.
Yeah. When you understand emptiness, when you see emptiness directly, okay, it breaks your ability to get pissed off at people because you know it's not their fault. Okay, because you know it's not their fault. You know that you're seeing your own bullshit played out before you intellectually. Okay, so for a moment you saw things as they are. So that you say you go into the direct perception of emptiness. You have this moment where you see things just as they are, and then you come out of it. You see, and the world kind of looks fucked up again. You see, the world kind of looks like it's coming from its own side again. You remember that you saw that it's a lie. You remember that you saw that it's a lie, but it still looks like a lie, right? You saw it, you know better, but you're still like, that still looks like they're coming from their own side. Still feels like that to me, okay? But you know that you're wrong, okay? Over the course of this path, okay, which they call the path of habituation, we'll talk about it some other time, you're getting used to what you saw. Okay, you're getting used to what you saw. When you are totally used to what you saw, an Arya goes into that direct perception of emptiness, and for a moment they see things. For that moment, they see things correctly, and then they come out of it and they see things wrong again, but they don't believe it. Okay, an Arhat doesn't believe that things are coming at them and doesn't see it that way anymore. They got used to it. They have basically gone back again and again into deep states of meditation. They've gone back over the course of time into more and more extended, deep realizations of emptiness, such that they're not fooled anymore.
So it's like a perpetual state of
Yeah.
the correct or the ultimate bodhicitta?
Yes, nice. It's like a perpetual state of ultimate bodhicitta. I like it. It is. Okay, it is. Generally speaking, that's right. So, are all Bodhisattvas Aryas? That's one vote for no.
No.
Okay. Are all Aryas, right? Not all bodhisattvas are Aryas because you could achieve the wish before having the direct perception of emptiness. They say that is the traditional presentation.
But what does it mean then, the experience of your heart opening and jumping from to all planets and meeting all beings and all of that? Isn't that what makes you a true bodhisattva?
Generally speaking, okay, no, right? You could have a state of mind where all day, every day, you're just thinking all day, every day about trying to reach enlightenment for the sake of others, and you never saw ultimate truth, and you didn't have that sort of experience you're talking about. And that's the traditional presentation, okay? In fact, in the traditional 5 paths, right? The path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of habituation, the path of no more learning. We'll talk about it, okay? Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisoha, okay? Like a mantra we sometimes say at the end of yoga asana class. They say you enter the first path by getting the wish. In the Mahayana path, okay, in the Hinayana version of that, it's renunciation, okay, but okay, so generally speaking, okay, they say, now, are you on the first bodhisattva bhumi before you have that experience, Oscar? No. Okay, now, so could you be a bodhisattva? And okay, are all bodhisattvas Aryas? We said no. Are all Aryas bodhisattvas?
Yes.
We got a yes and a no. He doesn't know because we didn't talk about it yet, but you went to Buddhism school before this. So they say that you can achieve the direct perception of emptiness without the wish for your own sake. Okay.
That's on lower level.
Yeah, on the lower track. Okay, that you could do that. Okay, that you could achieve the direct perception of emptiness without thinking of others, okay, without doing it for others, okay, just to get yourself, I want out of this mess, I'm working on understanding reality, you get to that point. They say that, okay?
That's when the Buddha comes eventually when you're there.
Yeah, eventually here, right? If you take that path to get to here, right, they do say that a day comes when the Buddha comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, you know, you got to get to here, right? Okay, that's nice, you went from here to here, but you got to get to here, okay? Are all Aryas Arhats? No, right? An Arya has the direct perception of emptiness, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have ridden that to nirvana. Okay? Are all Arhats Aryas?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, necessarily. An Arhat is someone who leveraged their Aryahood to stop negative emotions. Okay? Are all Arhats bodhisattvas?
No.
No, they're not. What do you typically call an Arhat bodhisattva generally?
Is that a Buddha?
Yeah, a Buddha. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Are all Buddhas Arhats?
Yes.
Yeah, are all Arhats Buddhas?
No.
Great. Let's have tea and cookies. Good, great. Seems super clear. Okay, good. All right, great. All right, nice.
Sam's not the only one that knows.
See, no, you did beautifully. See, no, not at all. Mm-mm. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see how this works. That's gonna be all right.
I'll get some cups for you.
Okay.
transition from the first headstand to tripod now,
Cool.
like all day.
Cool. Good for you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. I think this is the day, Jordan.
I think it is. It is. It's a picture.
Yeah, I know. She won't be able to taste that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Oh, man.
Hey, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Piece of ginger.
Not bad. It's gonna dip real nice.
I love ginger snap.
Cool. With the Cheesecake Factory.
You heard
Yeah.
it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stuff cake.
Did Kendra tell you? What I told her? Yeah.
Yeah.
A little rough.
Yeah, delightful.
Yeah.
Cool. Good for you. That sounds fucking terrible.
It was that was the first time I ever quit a job like that.
Yeah.
And it was very liberating and I felt really empowered.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, and this was a couple incidents, right, in quick succession.
Yeah.
What did management say anything about the first incident?
No.
No.
They don't know.
They don't know. They don't care. It doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even, like, honestly, they don't really care that I quit.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I literally was just like, I don't know how to say this, so I've been saying it. Like, this is my last night.
Yeah.
And they're like, bummer. I understand. Like,
I understand.
Good
Stuff
luck.
sucks. We know.
yeah.
We work here too.
Yeah, and he really was like, 2 weeks would have been appreciated, but I get it. Take care of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good too.
Thanks.
That's a tough job. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I'm sorry. That's hard. Yeah, I hated waiting tables. I really did.
Did you really?
Mostly, yeah. I think I would like it better now. But it was really hard. It depended on the place I was at, but like I worked at a Mexican restaurant called the Cactus Club. That was like it had more of that, like whatever. It wasn't quite Cheesecake Factory lowbrow, but it was like
Was it like dollar margarita Tuesdays type?
that kind of thing.
I
Yeah,
feel
totally. And just like like sizzling fajita, you're like
And then everyone looks at you. It's like the one guy gets the biggest. Oh man, the Cactus Club. That sounds
yes.
I really like serving like as a concept.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And
I think today's the day.
I think so. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. I think it's ready to go.
Today's the day.
I do too. Oh, we'll see. It doesn't matter. There's so much here. It really doesn't matter. Good. All right. Come on. Hi.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad. It could be sweet. That's the other thing.
Do you like sweet?
I don't know. I think this wouldn't mind like a couple drops of honey next time. That's not it. Yeah, right. But that's not it. But
man.
Cookies are sweet. What's that?
I'm ready. So it's just like black sand on our vegan challenge again.
Oh, that's interesting. No,
No, they're not.
look on the front. It's got a
So
on the other front. Look, at either front. I guess you were right. It's got a. Oh no, that's an NGO. I thought it's a date on that. No, maybe.
it's not. May contain milk and eggs.
Maybe.
But if it says may,
Then it means they didn't mean to.
it's vegetarian. And it also means that technically if it may, it just means that they can't say it's so the fact that it's peanut free and they can say that means the whole facility has never had peanuts. But no, we're good.
Okay, I'm looking at it's not clear. Okay. Yeah.
He looks like real ginger.
Yeah.
Am I looking for another Sangon?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I just got a job today as a destination consultant.
Oh, right. Okay. I think Sam was doing also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Cool.
So that's cool.
What do you have to do?
Basically, well, I have a lot of paperwork and like a training to do right now, but it's basically whenever a company like a corporation is relocating someone to Albuquerque,
Mhm.
they'll have like needs based on like whatever the company's paying for, like maybe finding a place to rent or like finding what's a good school and what's a, and basically I would just like be like, go to this school, go to this neighborhood, don't go to this neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you learning a bunch about that or?
No, I mean, I think I'm going to in the training. Training's kind of a lot, but like,
Right.
basic, I know that I grew up here.
Right.
So like that's,
I know. I'm really fascinated to see what you learn and also like whether you agree with it or not, you know?
yeah, right?
You know? Yeah. If they're just like, you know, never like to live in the South Valley. And you're like, oh, that's fucked up.
I know, I never even thought of that.
We'll see.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not gonna tell them to live on like San Mateo, Zuni. Like God bless them, I live there, you know,
Right, of course.
but
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, right. That's not ideal.
I mean, my mom was in a really nice part of South Valley.
Sure, no, the South Valley can be great, but I think, you know, I was just wondering, honestly, it's my way of saying, I wonder how racist the recommendations are gonna be.
I don't think so, because the dude was like in Costa Rica. So it's like they're like an international company.
Mhm.
It's, and they were even saying like sometimes they get people like moving here from out of country.
Cool.
So
Oh, I see.
I know, yeah, I'll let you know.
Fascinating. Yeah.
What about you? It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't know. I got my trip on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
We stuff about that. That's kind of like looming large right now, and then I'm hoping to try to revamp. Sanskrit Input Center, Varanasi, India, which is part of this program that I work with that does the input Sanskrit books, and they just need help. The system needs help at tweaking the system that's been in place for a long time.
Translate.
It's not, well, we are gonna do some translation of it, but it's just like, you know, the difference between like having something on, you know, pieces of paper that are gonna rot and go away, or having something digitally.
Yeah.
You've got to input it, you've got to type it in, you know, but how accurate are you gonna type it in, right? So
That's a good point. With like characters and
yeah, well, you use a system to type it in, English characters, and then we're kind of changing the system that they were using, and trying to make it, it was like, the stuff we're getting from them was not good, it was not very accurate. And it's hard to communicate with them because they're in India, which is so I had to buy it, and they all have like old Windows machines.
oh no.
So I had to buy like about like $120 HP laptop on Amazon to see if I can like mimic their working environment a little bit with a terrible piece of machinery.
How cool.
And see if I can develop a workflow for them to like look at a book, type it in, and like compare different versions to make it more accurate. So like,
Well, that's cool.
you know, Joe types in one, Bob types in one. Sarah comes and compares Joe's file and Bob's file, right, to make her own file. Okay. Sally compares Joe's file and Bob's file and makes her own file. Now I come and I take Sally's file and I forget what her name is, Sarah's file, right, and I compare those to make hopefully
The most-
the correct one. Yeah.
That's cool.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
we hope. So yeah, that's one of the things that like
Oh, that's cool.
it's cool. Yeah, yeah, it's cool. We get cool books out of it. And one of them I'm getting ready to translate, which is yeah, it's not bad, right? I think I could use touch of something.
I see what you're saying. It like hits you. It's good. I feel like
But yeah, there's a book on kind of the most famous book of Buddhist logic, which was even like course 413. Comes with a number, but it's like one of the there are like 5 great books in Buddhist literature. Like one of them is the logic. And so yeah, right.
like everyday logic.
No, I mean, ultimately it's like, because you can use logic to understand emptiness, and that helps you to get to the direct perception of emptiness, you know, so that's like the real use of logic, you know, is to try to get you closer to that meditative state.
Of emptiness.
Yeah, right, yeah, but,
So interesting, like the concept of emptiness to me.
yeah, it's cool.
Especially Sam and we've listened to a lot this audio reading of the Tao Te Ching
Mhm.
and how they taught like everything comes from the Tao, right?
Yeah, right,
But then like in Buddhism, it's like everything's empty.
yeah, right,
So that's like, you know,
but like, so is the Tao empty?
well, but that's the thing is like the Tao is beyond perception.
Right.
But, like if it's the real, but then I guess that would be emptiness, one would say. Because in a sense, emptiness is beyond perception.
In a sense,
Oh, wow.
beyond regular perception, right, outside of that deep state of meditation.
Which is like I asked you, like achieving vivekakate is like one of like you just know when you do.
Right, yeah, related to that, yeah. Know that Confucius, Lao Tzu, and the Buddha all lived at the same time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe Socrates too, all really close at the time. Socrates was close, he was right in there. Yeah, pretty
The
freaky.
Buddha, Confucius, and Lao Tzu all lived at the same time.
It's weird, right?
That's really weird.
Yeah.
They're all honestly like, what did Sam said she had this like some class she took in college, and an analogy was like all of these people are pointing to a different like part of the same elephant. And it's kind of like,
Maybe. I mean, that's obviously, that's someone's opinion,
yeah,
you know? I mean, what if, you know, what if one of them's wrong? What if one of them's just wrong? For all we know, you know? That's always a possibility, you know? And I think like, this is a hard thing to remember in the study of comparative religion, you know, as much as we want to say like, we want to be like all like grace, we'll be like, oh, it all points to the same place. Like, how do you know?
it's true.
You know?
Is this still recording?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not going to get controversial. I'm not trying to get canceled.
All right, that's fine. It's okay. Ooh.
These are like some hardcore ginger snaps.
Yeah, they're good, right? We made them a few times back in the day. Kendra and I used to make some ginger snaps.
I like the real ginger.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's how you make real ginger snaps. You use real ginger. It can be badass. Kendra makes some badass ginger snaps. She hasn't done it in a while. But yeah. Write these down. Yeah, what the hell? Okay. You're gonna get a homework question that's like something like give 6 benefits of the wish. So I'll give you 10. All right. And then theoretically, you're supposed to cobble together 6.
In addition to 10.
Nah. Mm-mm. No. If you know, the idea was you were supposed to be able to remember 6 of these. Yeah. Okay. Gewa. Namkien. You. Okay. Do you know Gewa, Oscar?
Good deeds.
Good deeds, right? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good deeds. Gewa. Good deeds. Where do you know Gewa from?
Here.
It's the first word we say in the prayer at the end of class, right?
Oh.
Gewa di Gewo kun sanamya shetsatsoshi. Yeah, by the power of the Gewa I just did. Yeah, may everybody get a pony. Or whatever they're into. Yeah, Gewa. Namken. Do you know Namken?
Yes, from the audio, I grab a omniscience.
Yeah, good. From what you said?
I heard the audio.
Mm-hmm. Cool, good. Yeah, Namken. Namken. So then what's Q? Well,
Cause.
audio didn't help you that much. That's okay. Yeah, you got it. Good. Right. Cause. Right. Basically, right, all goodness is a cause, right, for omniscience. That's probably how that's spelled. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Omniscience.
No, what is that?
Oh, all goodness is a
cause.
cause for omniscience. Okay. If you have the wish.
Or what is omniscience?
Omniscience means literally knowing all things. Okay. And it's a thing they say about the Buddha.
The Buddha knows all things.
They say that. Okay. They say that. Again, I just work here.
So a Buddha, so then
Any Buddha.
One could could be a Buddha and become omniscient.
Yeah, right. Famously, does that make you omnipotent? Do you know the word omnipotent? Yeah.
That means you're everywhere at all times.
Yeah, right. That would be omnipresent, I think.
Oh.
So I think omnipresent is everywhere at all times. I think omniscient is know all things. Omnipotent is can do anything. Buddhism doesn't accept that. Right, I don't want to get canceled either, you know, but that that a being could be all loving and all powerful.
Cannot be all loving. And
They
all powerful.
don't believe that there could be a being who is both all loving and all powerful. Why not? Because I still didn't get the sweetening right on this tea. You see, if there were a being that were all loving and all powerful, right? I should never have a bad day. Like,
Well, what remember they taught the qualifications of a good teacher, knowing when to give a student, like, so what if like that's being a good teacher and knowing
but
this,
if, yeah, go ahead.
well, you know, like that's exactly what the student needs, is not to give them like the best and like maybe they had a bad day, but that was the ultimate gift to,
But if I'm all powerful, wouldn't I have the power to make it so that you could get it by something nice happening instead of bad something, right? Yeah, like, okay, like if I'm a perfect teacher and I know somehow that like you'll be helped by some hardship, okay, but that's a part of my limitation, right? If I have no limitations, I'd make it so that a candy bar is what made things good, not some hard fought lesson like, oh, you're gonna have to go through this. Like that makes sense if I can't stop that from being the way to learn, right? But if I'm all powerful, right? could God microwave a burrito so hot that he himself could not eat it or something, right? Right, it's a problem, right? There's a logic problem there, right? If a being were all loving, right, and all powerful, then like I shouldn't have pain, right? If I had any pain today, period, full stop, then there should not be such a being, okay?
That's omniscient.
That is both omnipotent and all loving. You see, that just has absolute perfect love for all beings and absolute all power. Should technically be impossible, okay? This can get you into trouble with people. Don't go around saying that where it's inappropriate to say it, you know? But there does seem to be a logic problem there, okay? They do say that the Buddha's omniscient. So are they saying that the Buddha is omnipotent? No. No. The Buddha can't do anything for you beyond where your karma's at. They can't if you don't have the karma for something better. So you might get a weird teaching from the Buddha because the Buddha's like, I am sorry, dude, but this is where you're at and this is where you're going to need. And if I could change it, I would, but I can't. So here's a tough way to learn. Here's a tough lesson. I'm sorry. Boy, do I wish there was a faster way to get you there. Okay. So, and omniscience is weird. I mean, this one bugs me, honestly. Just the thought of omniscience like always bothered me. Like, is that like too many things to know all things? If anything's too many things to know, all should be definitely too many. But there's a scriptural quotation about this debate that somehow they talk about this a pattern called cha-cha, which is like the pattern of a quilt. That like when you're looking at a quilt, right? Like how many things can you see at the same time, right? Like what's the number, right? Like, and the argument, they get into this argument, you know, one guy's like, look, you could never be omniscient because that's too many things to see at the same time, you know? And he's kind of like, well, how many things do you think you're seeing now, dude? You know, because it looks pretty countless already. You know, just like looking around the room, just like anywhere you gaze in this moment, how many things is right there? You know, a lot of things, maybe countless, right? If you break it down, right? If you say, if you break, yeah, well, yeah, is atoms as far as you can go? You know, maybe not, right? I mean, well, whatever, we can get into it later, all right? But Dharmakirti, right, who wrote that book we were talking about in the break, says, yeah, proves in whatever, you know, so maybe Dignaga even proves in, you know, 700 AD or something that atoms have to have parts and parts have to have parts, and there can't be something without parts. Impossible for something to have parts, for something to not have parts. They say, I mean, and it's something like this, okay, whatever. If you take two of these smallest parts, okay, these smallest things that have no parts, and put them together, okay, would they touch at every point on their surface area, okay? Meaning, would they overlap at every point on their surface area, or would they touch at some point on their surface area and not at some point on their surface area? If they overlap completely, okay, then one takes up the same room as two, then one would take up the same amount of space as two, and then matter could never accumulate. You see, piles couldn't get bigger. You see, if on the other hand, they touch at certain places on their surface area and not on certain areas of their surface area, then there's a part that's touching and a part that's not. So they got parts. And no matter how small you go, that would have to be true of any, and so everything would have to have parts. Okay, so then how many things are you seeing right now? Yeah, as many things as an omniscient being, you know, maybe, right? If it's countless versus countless, I don't know how you do the math on that, but I don't know how you get more than infinite.
And it involves also time, right? Time, like a different reality than we experience.
They say that, right? That the Buddhists see the three times, past, present, and future in a single instant, right? But even now in this moment, right? Or I don't know, like, can you see the past, present, and future in a single moment? Like, if you can see this moment, even if you tried to say, I could only see this moment, like, how much of this moment can you see?
Eckhart Tolle says, as soon as you're conscious about the moment, that moment's past. So you're remembering technically like the present.
Okay,
Like the only moment you could really ever see is the present, because the future and past are just thoughts.
okay, well, if I wanted to argue with him, I would say, well, how long is the present? Because if the present doesn't exist for any duration at all, then it never exists. If there's never a time, if it doesn't exist for a little bit of time, then it doesn't exist. Because anything that exists has to exist for a little bit, or it doesn't exist. If there's never a time when it exists, then it doesn't exist, right? Is that true? If something never exists, never existed for no duration of time, doesn't exist, then it doesn't exist. But if it does exist for some duration of time, then there's a beginning of that time and a middle of that time and an end of that time. In which case I am if I'm perceiving this moment, then I'm perceiving the past, because this moment would have to include some of the past, because part of this moment is gone. And maybe part of this moment didn't come yet. Am I seeing parts that didn't come yet? If I'm perceiving the whole moment, or am I only perceiving this part of the moment and the part of it that's gone already? But even the part of it I'm perceiving would have to be mostly gone already.
And that's omniscience.
It means that maybe you could perceive 3 times in a single instant, and it wouldn't be that big a deal. Maybe. Doesn't mean that you directly perceive the formation of the earth right now. I don't think you do. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I know I don't. I don't know. I have no idea if you do. Frankly, I wouldn't know if you do. And I wouldn't believe you if you told me. Either way, I hope. Anyway, this was not the point. So fine, right? They say. Second benefit. All right. All right. Me Chuck Jor Urpa. That's kind of cool. They say Hla and me. Okay, Hla and me. What's Hla? Oscar.
Gods.
Yeah, Hla means like a god. It's like it's the Tibetan word for deva. So like Lhasa, right, the capital of Tibet, basically means Los Angeles. Okay, the city of angels. But Hla and me means gods and men, okay, or gods and humans, okay. Chak Jor, Chak means like Chaktselo, okay, to namaste, namaskar, okay, to make the prostration, okay. Urpa means you are worthy of the prostrations of gods and men. You see, to be bowed to, right? You are worthy to be bowed to, you know, you are worthy that the gods and men should fall to their face before your feet. They say,
Ben, isn't it Upa instead of Urpa?
Urpa, I had in this note, I bet it is yeah, like Yunten Upa. Yeah, you're right. I think you are right. Thank you. Upa. Good. I bet you're right.
That's if you achieve the wish.
Yeah. When you achieve the wish. Okay. When you achieve the wish, you are that badass. Okay. What else? You oh, this is, yeah, okay. Gewa. What's Gewa?
Goodness.
Yeah, good. Gewa. Chungtse. Chungtse. Gewa Chungtse.
Small.
Yeah, good. Yeah, if I said it like that, I figured you'd get it, right? Even the smallest, okay, Gewa becomes Tekchen Gi Ch. Okay.
Becomes a cause for chin.
You would think. Yeah. What's Tekchen Gi Ch?
Chen, it's like big, right? It's
Yeah.
that.
So what Tech Chen? It's yeah. It is. It is.
And
Maha.
Chu is Dharma.
Yeah. What's
Okay.
big? What kind of big dharma? What's the biggest dharma you know of?
Oh, Tantra, Diamond Way.
Nah,
No.
it's so big it includes Tantra. It's so big everybody can get in and go
Oh,
for a ride to the ice cream shop.
Heaven.
Mahayana.
Good, Mahayana, which literally means the greater capacity vehicle. So I'm kind of making a joke about that's not very funny unless you're a very nerdy person indeed. But yeah, then every goodness you do becomes Mahayana Dharma, okay? Becomes a practice of the greater way, okay? So we talked about greater way, lesser way, right? Working to achieve enlightenment for the sake of yourself or for the sake of everyone, right? Suddenly every goodness you do becomes work for the sake of everyone, okay? Which is cool.
Like giving other people good.
I mean,
Dharma or karma?
at that, Dharma means like a practice, a truth, a teaching, you see, like it becomes a practice, like your karma, meaning your gewa, meaning the goodness that you do, right? Becomes an act which serves all beings.
So like, would that mean like someone's personal practice would benefit others?
Yes,
Wow.
it would mean that, because who really benefits people? People who know how to get out. People who know how to get out are the greatest benefit. So if you are getting yourself out for their sake, you see, especially, right? Then like, it could be, yeah, then your own personal practice suddenly becomes a benefit to Jimmy in Timbuktu, because you're adding to the number of people in this world who can tell them how to get out of pain, you see? And adding by one would still be a meaningful percentage increase, probably. Okay. What's Gewa?
Goodness.
Good. Oh, Chungtse. What's Chungtse?
So big.
No, just like before.
Oh, little.
Chungtse. Good. Even the smallest goodness. Okay, again. You, yi, Sangye. What's Sangye?
That's oh.
Oh.
Buddha.
Yeah, Buddhahood. Okay. This is a lot like this one, you know, for my money.
The smallest goodness is cause for Buddhahood.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So what's the flavor? I mean, it's like even the smallest goodness helps you to know what it is people need. Even the smallest goodness here helps people, takes care of all, works for the sake of all beings, you see? And here, even the smallest goodness, like also gets you to a state of highest imaginable bliss. Okay.
Which is Buddhahood.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like Nirvana.
Yeah,
Like
but
Nirvana.
yeah, right. But Mahayana Nirvana, right? So it's one thing to say, and they say that, for example, only a Buddha can see deceptive and ultimate truth at the same time. Only a Buddha can see directly that things are empty, and that Ben could use some help right now. You see, any other being, and even an arhat who's not a Buddha, okay, could be in the direct perception of emptiness, would be in the direct perception of emptiness, right? But they can't help Ben. They're not aware of Ben's needs, okay? They don't have the benefit also of the bliss of serving someone, you see? So it's one thing to stop creating pain and to get to a state where you are free of the onset of more pain, but there's something better than not pain. You see, there's a beautiful book going on around right now, How to Be an Anti-Racist, Ibram X. Kendi, okay? One of the best books I ever read, okay? He says, not being racist is not the opposite of racism. Okay? Not being racist is not the opposite of racism. Anti-racism is the opposite of racism. You see, looking within ourselves and finding those traces within us that have these biases and rooting them out. You see, only that activity, right, of rooting out racism is the opposite of racism. You see, so you could have gotten rid of collecting bad, but it doesn't mean that you're collecting good. You see, so it doesn't mean that you're collecting the causes for bliss, right? But the state of Sangye, right? Okay, or Jiangchu, Jiangchu Dzogpe, okay, complete Buddhahood, okay, and sometimes they set them aside, okay, sometimes they will say like a lesser Buddha or a higher Buddha, but they're just talking about arhats, okay, they're just talking about someone who has achieved it just for themselves, okay, okay, oh, look, I can count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, really, 4? I only made it to 4, okay, well, no, really, what did I skip? Oh, I did skip one, that's fine, it doesn't really matter, okay. 1, 2, 3. I could have put a third here. Okay, so sorry. 1, 2, 4, 5. Sorry, 3. I don't think the order matters a whole lot, frankly. Okay. Nien Zhang Sil Ki Nun Ba. Okay. What's a Nien Rang? Do you know Nien Rang? Because you listened to the recording. What's Nien Rang?
Nyen is listener and Rang is self-made Buddha.
Yeah, so listeners and self-made Buddhas, okay, it's a very technical term, doesn't really matter. Okay, the idea is they're talking about lesser arhats, okay? So they're talking about lesser arhats, meaning an arhat who's not a Buddha. Okay, so there are two famous types of arhats who are not Buddhas. Okay, some are called listeners because they can listen to teachings about love, but they can't practice them. And then Pratyekya Buddha or self-made Buddhas or something means like someone who like kind of achieved things on their own, but it doesn't mean that they really achieve things on their own. The point is that they are also a type of lower motivation person. Generally speaking, you could say like someone who achieves Buddhahood because they don't want to take any more shitty rebirths. Someone achieves Buddhahood who because they don't want to take even the good rebirths because they don't believe those are so good anymore, right? Versus someone who achieves Buddhahood because they don't want anyone taking shitty births ever again, right? Or even good births that are actually shitty if you think about them, right? Like being born as a really rich CEO who thinks everything's going great until it all falls apart and they die and suffer anyway at the end. Okay. Looks good for a while, right? And they say that's what it's like to be in a God realm. Okay. That like it goes pretty well for a while. Okay. That you could be a hla, you could be born as a God and it goes really great. And you'll use a lot of goodness to get there. And then things are going so well that you don't really do your practice because everything's bitching and you run out of goodness. And then things go badly from there. Okay. The guys who have achieved, these are arhats, they have achieved nirvana on the day you have bodhicitta and don't even understand emptiness. You silky numba outshine them like the sun outshines the stars when it comes into the sky and you can no longer see the stars. Silky nun means to outshine. It is the same word in Tibetan you would use to say what the sun does to the stars in the day.
That's an
you outshine those arhats who got there for the sake of themselves.
When you want it for everyone else.
Just by wanting it in that way for everyone else. You haven't even achieved it, you see? Just by that wish, by that all-pervading desire. You're like the sun to their stars, okay? Okay. It would have been nice if I'd numbered these to begin with, but that's okay. Almost.
6.
This should be 7. Am I wrong? Well, trust me. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure. We had every goodness you do becomes a cause for omniscience. you're worthy of the prostrations of gods and men. You outshine listeners and self-made Buddhas. The slightest goodness you do becomes Mahayana Dharma. The slightest goodness you do becomes a cause for Buddhahood. Oh, there it is. 6. Gewa Chungse, okay. Gewa
Even the smallest.
Chungse. Yeah. Gelse Ki Choba. Roughly means like it becomes an activity of the Bodhisattvas. And this is a famous thing. Okay, Gyaltse is a name for Bodhisattva. It actually means like a son or daughter of the Buddha. It means like everything you do, you're acting in line with the family, right? Like on that day, you've entered a family in a different way. They say you've entered the family of the Buddhas, okay? And all the Buddhas are like, hey, you know, I somehow I picture like old mafia movies or something, you know, hey, right on that day, right? They all welcome you to the table. Hey, whoa, right? Everything you do, the slightest thing you do, right, is acting with the family, you see, becomes the activity of bodhisattvas, you see, becomes an activity with the Buddhas and bodhisattvas of that family, right? All of the deeds you do are acting in line. This is similar to the others, okay? Is that different than Mahayana Dharma? No. Is that different from it being a cause for omniscience? No. You see? Is it different than being a cause for Buddhahood? No. You see? They're very similar.
Is there a way, like, say you do this, does one ever make like a mistake, or has a day where they like?
Oh sure. Oh
don't
sure.
Act in the.
Sure. All the goodness you do. Okay. I didn't say all the badness you do. Okay. All the
So you could still do like.
you can still do Migewa because you're not an arhat yet. You see?
Arhats do not. Oh, because they don't have negative.
They don't have negative emotions. You see? But a bodhisattva can still have negative emotions.
And like flip someone off in traffic.
Totally.
Like snap.
Totally. Yeah. And they say, I mean, there's a famous story of a guy who lost the wish. They say,
Hadn't you lost it?
Arya Deva. You can find pictures of Arya Deva. He's always like this. So the story is like a demon came to him and asked him for his eye. And he had this like, whatever, he was this freaky bodhisattva, and he like reached into his head and pulled it out and gave it to her.
Like in that stupid show we watched.
I don't know, probably, yeah, right, yeah, totally, yeah, right, yeah. Out of love. He said, whatever it takes, here. Of course, here. But it was a demon in disguise, and they say she threw it on the ground and she stomped on it. And she said, how do you like that? And they say that for a second he was like, oh, fuck you, like, oh, never mind, forget it, just forget it. You see, they say he lost his wish for that moment. Can you lose having had the direct perception of emptiness? No, you can't go back from there. Can you go back from being an arhat? No. Can you lose the wish? They say you can. Okay, they say you can. Now later he went on, right? And there's an old saying that he's Arya Deva. He was like the closest disciple of Arya Nagarjuna. So there's an old saying he used to say, like, whatever they used to say, and he'd seen more with his one eye than anyone else had seen with two. And when you see paintings of him, he's usually like this, like you just see one eye. They always paint his good side. So anyway, okay, quick, because I don't want to keep all of us here too long. Oh, I see. That was 6. This is 7. Good. Okay, so and this is related. Okay, Sangye Nam Yi Se Su Kong. Okay. Kong. Okay, this is kind of what we covered already. Okay. The Buddha see you as their own close family. Okay, as a son or daughter. Okay, as a holy son or daughter. Say kind of means like prince. It's like an honorific for like prince or princess. You see, like they see you as their. Okay, so how is that different from the other one? It means that like all the activity you do is in line with the family. All right, the family meaning all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay. Whereas this one means like the Buddhas all consider you their kid. Okay. Okay. Right, we're trying to get to 10. Jungchub Semba Nam. Okay, all of them guys. Ki Bun Tu Kong. Okay, this is easy if you work backwards. You are considered the Pun. Okay, by the who's Jungchub Semba? Who's Jungchub Semba? Jungchub Semba.
The Buddhas,
Nah.
Bodhisattvas.
Ah, good. Who are you to the Bodhisattvas?
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah, brother and sister, right? They're all like, hey, okay. They all see you as their brother and sister. Okay. 9. Oh, yeah, this is cool. Tek Chen La Shuk. Okay, you have Shuk into the Tek Chen. Okay, what's Tek Chen?
Mahayana.
You have entered into the Mahayana. Okay, so we say like whatever. I say like, oh, I'm a Mahayana Buddhist. No, I ain't. Right? No, I ain't. Right? I'm not a Mahayana Buddhist. Okay, that on that day, I've entered the Mahayana. Okay, on that day, right? I've entered the greater vehicle. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Last one. I mean, I would have stopped earlier, but the last one's pretty interesting. Okay. Hopefully not my problem. We're closed. I don't feel like they're here for us.
They opened the door.
They opened the door. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Hi. All right. All right. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think. All right. I think like I would have heard it from there. Sorry. Bear with me a moment.
Was this like you live every day like it's your last one?
No, it's better than that. No, you're the best. Don't worry about it. Okay. Okay, boy. It's great. They're here to clean the studio. It's good.
Oh.
It's fine. They were just confused because we were here. Sorry.
Okay.
Good. Seichik. What's Seichik? No, really? But you listen to the recording. Say
I didn't reach that part.
Chik ni sum shi nga.
Birth.
Chik ni sum shi nga. Chik is 1. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, in one life you can become a Buddha. You see, in one lifetime. All right. This is code for something. What?
You can.
Yeah, you can. Now, typically they say after the direct perception of emptiness that it takes something like 7 lifetimes, but they say there's a way to do it in one What is that way?
Diamond Way.
Yeah, Diamond Way. Yeah, they say Vajrayana, which is a part of the Mahayana, right? By the way, right? People will say like Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana, but it's not, right? Vajrayana is part of the Mahayana. It's not really a third one. There's really only two. Okay, there's Hinayana and Mahayana, and Vajrayana is part of Mahayana. But the idea is that that the tantric practices, okay? Now you're qualified to do them. Okay, so that's cool. You can go do a quick online search and figure out where to go get tantric initiation right now. That's fine. You can do that. You know, you can find that, and whatever they'll give you. Sometimes they'll give you a bracelet or something. They'll give you some mantras to say, right?
Tantra yoga
Right, but it won't do anything. It's not going to do anything. It can't work. Okay, until this day. You see, it doesn't do anything
until you achieve the wish.
That's right. Okay.
And so once you achieve the wish and practice Tantra, then you can become a Buddha in one lifetime.
In one lifetime. Okay. They say that how long does it take otherwise? From the direct perception of emptiness, they say it takes maybe 7 lifetimes. From the day that you get bodhicitta, how long does it take without Tantra?
I don't know.
A kalpa, okay, is like what they call a great eon. Okay, so a kalpa is like, I don't know, if like 100,000 or tens of hundreds of thousands of years or something is a kalpa, right? They say it takes 10, 10 to the 60th power kalpas, okay? From the time of getting the wish, okay? From the time of getting the wish, okay?
That's when you become a Buddha.
Unless you practice Tantra. Okay, in which case, theoretically, you can do it in one lifetime. Okay, they say. Okay, Sashipuki. Sashipuki Chukshin Metok Dram Rirab Lingshin Yende Gyembadi Sangye Shingdu Mikte Uwargi Drokun Namdak Shingla Juparsho Iran Guru Rana Mandala Kaniyatayami Gewadi Keokun Sanam Yeshe Tsok Dzok Shing Sanam Yeshe Lechung We Tampa Kuni Toparsho. Cool. Good deal. See you later.
Thank you very
Good night.
much, Ben.
Good night,
Good night.
Dr. Ricky. See you later. Have a nice night. Bye-bye, guys.